Hi crafters, it's Kathy here, and I've got a art journal project I had a lot of fun with today that I want to share with you, these Queens of the Alley, where our fun friends are having more adventures. So using images from this Rebels with Wrinkles, of course, because this is where all these ladies are having fun with their adventures. And I'm going to use this page I'm just tearing out there where it has Queens of the Alley, and then some of the figures in here. These two ladies at the top of the page where they are, the first one is spray painting the wall, and the second one is like, whoops, we got caught, now what do we do? And lots of fun embellishments on the bottom there too. The paint buckets, the spray cans, lots of things in this book to use for these adventures. So here I am adding pages into my handmade art journal. I kind of just add them as I go. So each set of pages has a little 1-inch flap on the edge of it, so it overlaps the next set of pages that I add in. So I'm just adding some double-sided adhesive to attach the pages that I'm going to work on now. So I'm just going to tear this bottom image off of the page. The top image I'll save for yet another project. Got lots of graffiti wall images in this book, and lots of paint cans and images of the ladies, so you can have them doing all sorts of creative adventures around town, which is why we call it Paint the Town, because they are out painting the town. So this is the page about them actually getting caught. They're rebels, but they're fun rebels. Every adventure can turn into fun, right? Even a little bit of trouble. So on here, I am just tearing out this one lady. I love the expression on her face where she realizes that, whoops, we got caught. Got caught with spray cans in our hands. So oftentimes I actually fussy cut out the figures, as I did with the other figures on this, using on this page actually, but I wanted to show you, for those that don't like to cut, you can actually just tear and collage them into your project as well. So you don't have to cut everything. You can just rip it around, roughly around the image, and glue it down. And then we'll use some paint to kind of tie them all together. So I'm just checking how my different pieces of the image are going to fit onto the project there. Got plenty of room for this other lady, and her I do fussy cut her out. So now I'm just getting ready to adhere at least my background down there. I'm going to have this image go right across the crease in the page. I'm really enjoying the weight of the paper out of the books, because you can go right across that crease of the page and have no problem at all. It doesn't break, it doesn't wrinkle, it doesn't prevent your pages from turning like thicker paper, like a scrapbook paper would. This is just the right thickness so that you can just add it right across the valley of your page there, and it works perfectly. Nice colorful images in here. Gives you lots of bright color. And I had only put glued stick mostly on the center, hadn't got it quite around the edge, so I'm just sneaking some in on the edge of the page to make sure that that all sticks down nice and solid. Then I'm going to do some painting. So my idea is just to paint actually a brick wall onto the background of my page. So I have this brick stencil. And you can see on my palette on the right hand side there, I just picked out some colors that I'm pulling off of the book page colors. There's a lot of colors in there, so any paint colors that you use are pretty much going to work. And I'm just going to alternate colors around the page, so it's going to be a really colorful brick wall. So you can kind of see on the top left part of my screen there, you can see another book page I've torn out, which is a colorful brick wall. So I'm kind of getting my inspiration from that, right? It's patches of colors all over the place that looks like, somebody's already come along and painted the bricks, made them colorful. So that's basically what we're creating there. It's just that really colorful brick background. I'm just adding it through my stencil with a sponge. And while I've got one paint color going, I just put patches of that color in a variety of places on the page. And I do put paint right over the top of the edges of the paper that I've already glued down. So the book page, the paint's going onto the background and then right up over the edge of the page. And it just kind of helps to meld that paper right into the background, so it doesn't look like you just glued a piece of paper onto your page. It becomes one with your whole project. It's one way to kind of tie it into your project. So the image I used here that says Queens of the Alley, I like that. That's the only reason I used it. But throughout the book, there are several different images of graffiti on the wall, and any one of them would work with this idea of just creating a brick wall stencil around it. And then adding any one of the characters to the page that you like. My stencil shifted on me a little bit, but no problem. I just try to line it back up and keep going. And I'm not really being fussy that the bricks line up. I'm just going for this overall look of a brick background. And you see a little sneak of my heat gun there, so I do dry the colors in between, just so that when I set my stencil down, I'm not setting it down in wet paint or putting my hand in wet paint. So just filling in all the blank white areas of the page with bricks. And there, whoops, stencil shifted again. That's okay. Just put it down, keep going. And it looks like, I was putting down yellow, but there must have been a little bit of that pink paint that was not quite dry, or it might have been wet paint on my stencil. So the colors kind of mixed and combined, made a little bit of an orange on the left-hand side there, but that's fine. It all works out. On this page, I do a really big whoops, and really damage the page. And I didn't edit it out. I left it in there so you can see what I do to recover it. So here I'm just taking a Tim Holtz stencil. It's got some large words on it. And I'm stenciling in some words randomly on top of the bricks. Just attempting to give it that look like the whole wall had layers of graffiti done to it. And especially if you add those words, the extra stenciling words onto the edge of the book page, it helps to just disguise where the book page ends and the background paint starts. And here's where I go in. I have an idea, and I often, I just kind of wing it and test things out. I thought it was going to work. My idea was I'd make a black area of background and then take a baby wipe through a stencil and wipe some of the black away. So I would just be left with the black stencil scribbles. But it did not work at all. My paint dried too quickly, or I was too slow at getting to it. So even though I'm using a wet baby wipe, I end up with this big black blotch of mess. So then I thought, okay, I'll take my baby wipe and get rid of as much as that as I possibly can. That did not work either. I tried, and it was just wrecking my page. I could not get rid of that. So what do? Well, I let it dry, and then you'll see what I do over it. And it actually recovered quite well in spite of the horror of this mess that it is right now. But I don't like to edit those things out. I am not a perfect crafter, and hopefully that encourages any of you guys that are crafting and things don't go the way you want. There's often a way to work around it. So what I ended up doing here is I let it dry, and then I go over it with white paint and just cover up that whole area. So going over the black and the colors with the white is still a little bit hard to hide. So I actually did 2 layers of white paint so that that black could be totally gone. Still looks bad at the moment, but in the end, it recovers okay. So then, obviously, before I do another layer, got to make sure that that white is totally dry. And then you can probably guess what I do to fix it is just go in with that brick stencil and put some more bricks on top of it. So here's where I was deciding I needed another layer of white paint. So that's my second coat of white paint. Just to be sure I covered up all of that black mess. Don't want any of that showing through. And then again, dry that really well before I put my next layer up there. So this is just my way of sharing with you. Don't despair when things go wrong. You can panic for a second, but then relax knowing there's something you can do to bring it back. Covering things with white paint or white gesso can hide a lot of messes. And there's where I go in and just fix it up. So in the end, you're not even going to be able to tell that there was a patch there. Looks like I'm having some trouble with my sponge or something there. Not everything goes as smooth as what it looks like when you're watching YouTube videos, because a lot of the problem things just get edited out. So it looks like, oh, everybody is just sailing along with their project like nothing ever goes wrong. But no, it does. things spill, things splatter, things go wrong, things get torn. It's real life. It's just easy to edit out on videos. So on this one, you get to see the real life mess and the resurrection of bringing it back again. There, pretty good patch job on that wall. You can't really tell that too much has happened there. And then I also have this stencil that looks like paint splats. So I'm going to go in on a few areas there, just add some little paint splats so it looks like people have done some random spraying on the wall or splattering paint onto that wall, and just give it a little bit more of a graffiti look. That's also a good way to cover up if there's little things that you didn't like how it turned out. Just put a splat of paint on it. It works great for graffiti walls. The only challenge is, like, when do you stop? When is enough paint splatters enough? I actually like it on the green there because it gives it a high contrast, and then it really shows up good as a nice splat of paint. And don't forget, with your stencils, you can always have images that go half off the page too. That helps to make it kind of interesting. And then I'm going to go in and do some splattering of black paint. So I'm just putting a paper towel scrap there over top of my lady because I don't want her to be covered with black splatters. But I'm taking this Tim Holtz splatter brush, water down the black paint just a little bit so it splats really nice, and just spraying black all over. And this is another one of those techniques where it's like, when do you stop? Because it's kind of fun to keep adding it, right? And you could do it not only in black. I think I also did it with the blue. Yeah, I put blue on there. But you could do it with any of the colors. You could make it quite colorful with any of the paints that you have left over. Just splatter them on there. And here's where I'm just getting out some of that blue. I'm going to splatter some of that on the background as well. So I'm just adding you saw I sprayed a little bit of water onto my palette there. And I'm using a splatter brush just to mix that water in with the paint a little bit. Cover up my lady again so she doesn't get blue splatters on her. And just start splatting some more paint in the background. And in the end, you'll see some close-up pictures and you'll be able to see that splattered paint a lot better than you can right now. And here I'm just adding on our young constable here that caught these ladies having a little bit too much fun. And here's the lady. She's still got a spray can in her hand. I always check just to make sure I've got enough room where I'm going to put them before I add the glue. So once they've got the glue on them, they're ready to go down. And there we've pretty much got a full scene going now. There is a little bit of a little set of handcuffs here, or a large set actually. Just another one of the embellishments cut off out from the book. Add that on there. And then I decided to have a couple of paint cans as well. This book, The Rebels with Wrinkles, is full of lots of embellishments to do with painting. So lots of buckets of paint, paint rollers, paint brushes, spray cans, any of that. So lots of little items that you can use to embellish your projects. So there I'm just adding a couple paint cans and putting them up on these foam adhesive so it gives them some dimension and lifts them off the page a little bit. Just makes it look a little more interesting. But if you don't like to have thickness in your art journal, then you can definitely just glue them down flat. And here we go with our finished project. You can see all the splats of paint in the background. Just lots of fun there. Thanks for watching.